A popular dentist gunned down. Today, her sister sobbing as she shared their last moments, facing off in court with the killer. Welcome to News 8 at 5. I'm John McKay.
And I'm Marie Saavedra. It is the story that goes viral with every update that we provide. Today, Dr. Hatcher's sister faced off with her killer. Our Rebecca Lopez was in that courtroom and joins us live with more. Rebecca?
Well, it was very emotional testimony from Kendra Hatcher's sister and also her best friend. One of the jurors left this courthouse in tears, and the prosecution is trying to prove that Christopher Love deserves death by lethal injection because he continues to pose a threat to society.
Sorry.
Kendra Hatcher's sister tearfully testified about the moment she learned her baby sister had been murdered.
When I heard that this had happened to her, and no, I'm getting off topic, but I couldn't imagine who would do it. I couldn't imagine who would hurt her because nobody disliked her.
Ashley Turner told the jury her sister loved people and had volunteered for Habitat for Humanity and helped disadvantaged children. She was a good and decent person.
We didn't know that evil like this existed. Kendra had no idea that she was being watched.
Dr. Hatcher was shot in the head by this man, Christopher Love. Prosecutors say he was hired to shoot her by Brenda Delgado, who wanted her dead because Kendra was dating her ex-boyfriend. Dr. Hatcher's best friend says her brother broke the news to her. Kendra had died.
He came in my office and he said that Kendra was murdered, and I did not believe him. I immediately picked up my phone and I dialed her, and it went to voicemail, and I dialed it again and it went to voicemail.
Prosecutors want Love to get the death penalty. They say he's a dangerous criminal with a long rap sheet, including robbery. He has tattoos of weapons, bullets, and one across his chest that says life or death. And they say Love was trying to run a prostitution ring before and after he murdered Dr. Hatcher. Prosecutors say while Kendra Hatcher was out trying to make the world a better place, Love was victimizing people, and they say what he did forever destroyed all of those around her.
We miss her a lot.
Prosecutors also showed a text message in court that Christopher Love wrote one of his friends. This is after Kendra Hatcher was murdered, and it said that he does not regret anything he's ever done in his life except for when he stole $100 out of his mother's wallet when he was 11 years old and never told her. The prosecution is expected to wrap up its case tomorrow. The defense then will begin to try and save Love's life and begin their testimony very shortly. Reporting live, Rebecca Lopez, Channel 8 News.